rates can become certain quickly for us to thrive and live with well-being, much to humanity.
And that was a report filed by my colleague Lord Edu Asari. Now, Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu has disclosed that Ghana's education sector is grappling with a significant shortage of teachers, estimating that the country currently requires between 50,000 and 90,000 additional teachers to adequately meet the demands of schools across the country. He attributed the inability to recruit to budget constraint. He spoke in Parliament on Thursday.
We need a minimum of 50,000 teachers across the country, but that is subject to budget, and the budget being able to absorb that. I know that compensation as a percentage of government spending sometimes affects the number of teachers that are recruited.
Haruna Iddrisu is the Minister for Education. And now the Controller and Accountant General's Department is set to begin recovering student loans from thousands of beneficiaries who are now unemployed in the public service. The move, which will affect about 4,000 graduates, is aimed at ensuring the sustainability of the student loan scheme and making funds available for future generations of students.
For many Ghanaian students, the student loan scheme has been a lifeline, easing the financial burden on families and providing hope for access to higher education. However, as demand for the facility continues to grow, concerns have emerged about the fund's long-term sustainability. Speaking to a cross-section of tertiary students in Accra, the Chief Executive Officer of the Student Loan Trust, Dr. Sajida Shiraz, stressed the need for stronger partnerships and innovative funding strategies to keep the program afloat.
I'm happy to say that we have disbursed 127 million Ghana cedis in enhanced loans directly to 46,679 students across public and private institutions in Ghana.
The Controller and Accountant General also revealed that 4,000 former beneficiaries have been identified on the government payroll.
We have already identified over 4,000 beneficiaries on the government payroll through the collaboration with the trust. And in the coming days, we will engage the trust to agree to the modalities of implementing these deductions. We envisage that these deductions will become one of the important statutory deductions on beneficiary salaries, alongside existing obligations such as Senate and PAYE.
And before we part company, a new study by UNICEF Ghana has revealed that Ghana is investing too little, too late, and unevenly in children, particularly during their critical early years of life. The report, titled Unlocking Potential Early, Rebalancing Public Spending for Children in Ghana, is the country's first age-based analysis of public spending on children from pregnancy through age 17.
According to the study, children aged 0 to 5 receive only 13% of public spending, despite making up about 1/3 of Ghana's child population. The findings show that while Ghana has made progress in areas such as immunization, under 5 mortality reduction, and pre-primary education, major gaps remain in nutrition, birth registration, child protection, and social welfare services. UNICEF says public spending remains heavily concentrated in education, which receives 3.1% of GDP, while social protection, health, and child protection sectors receive significantly less funding. The report comes as Ghana begins implementing its early childhood care and development policy.
What is really important here is that the evidence now shows that some countries have chosen to invest in early years. In Ghana, we have 73% of kids who are multidimensionally poor, and from that group, we have from 0 to 5 it's 80% who are poor. So it's actually the most vulnerable group. We need to be intentional to address that group, bring them on board, every child of that group, and we have a very good opportunity in that through the recently launched ECCD policy. It will bring a lot of results for children of Ghana.
And that's how we end the morning news. For more news updates, just log on to our website, it's streetnews.com. Thanks for listening. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good morning.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM. Sunrise on 3 FM. The best in the morning. The best in the morning is on 92.7. Sunrise on 3 FM.
Hello again, good morning. Welcome to the business news here on Sunrise. Coming up this morning, Government of Ghana targets third straight oversubscription with a 5.274 billion cedi treasury bill auction today. And Bank of Ghana's policy to convert rural banks into community banks designed to pull country's vast informal sector into the official banking system and significantly deepen financial inclusion.
The Bank of Ghana is just repositioning the community banks to reflect modern banking practices and, of course, deepen financial inclusion.
Plus, Ghana targets sustainable construction as Trade Minister urges cement makers to drop imported clinker and shift local raw materials in cement production. We have details of these headlines and many more coming up shortly. Do stay with us. And this is the business you hear on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. And now, Government of Ghana is making a bold return to the domestic debt market this Friday, June 19, 2026, with an ambitious target to borrow 5.274 billion cedis. The massive issuance, organized under the tenor 2012, will see the state issue treasury bills across the standard short-term tenors, the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day bills.
Market observers are watching today's auction closely as government aggressively chases its third consecutive oversubscription streak. In recent weeks, the domestic market has demonstrated robust liquidity and strong investor appetite, consistently yielding more bids than the state's initial target. This Friday's auction, with a target of 5.274 billion cedis, will serve as a critical litmus test for local market confidence. Government relies heavily on this short-term instrument to manage its immediate fiscal obligations and roll over maturing debts. This continuous borrowing cycle keeps domestic interest rates under intense scrutiny as investors weigh the state's rising debt demand against market liquidity. While the high targets reflect the state's intensive financing needs for the 2026 fiscal year, Three Business notes that the recent momentum of oversubscriptions suggests a favorable outlook. However, all eyes remain on how pricing and interest rates will react to such a massive volume request when the tender officially closes today.
That was a 3 News Desk report on Government of Ghana targeting third straight oversubscription with a 5.274 billion cedi treasury bill auction today. And now, in a move to modernize the microfinance sector, the Bank of Ghana has begun converting rural banks into community banks. A policy, finance and tax analyst, Nelson Codjoe says this will pull the country's massive informal sector into the official banking system and drastically deepen financial inclusion.
The Bank of Ghana's rollout of its community bank transition is designed to capture the nation's vast informal economy and accelerate financial inclusion.
Which is actually aimed at strengthening financial inclusion and bringing on board the informal sector, which still remains outside the official banking system. The Bank of Ghana is just repositioning the community banks to reflect modern banking practices and, of course, deepen financial inclusion, considering the fact that these community banks are actually closer to the people and they actually finance the SMEs within the economy.
under the central bank's revised microfinance sector framework 2026. These newly designated community banks face a steep climb in their regulatory capital, with the minimum capital requirement raised to 5 million cedis, up from the previous 1 million cedis.
I believe this is aimed at improving the liquidity of the community banks and also helps in strengthening their balance sheet. Well, on the whole, I think that we need to commend the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Isiama, for his innovative ideas within the banking sector. I think his policies are yielding the desired result by way of resilient financial sector that can support the various economic actors within the country.
Under the directive, all existing rural banks are required to complete statutory name changes, corporate rebranding, and other regulatory adjustments by December 2026. The conversion comes as the rural banking sector marks 50 years since its establishment in 1976 to promote financial access in underserved communities.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has announced a significant 26.6% expansion in total banking sector assets, climbing to 493.9 billion cedis. Speaking on the industry's performance, Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama highlighted a strengthened capital adequacy ratio, which rose to 22.3%, while Dr. Isiama noted that these developments reflect the resilience of the banking sector and the collective efforts of regulatory institutions. He warned stakeholders against becoming complacent.
Total banking sector assets expanded by 26.6% to 493.9 billion Ghana cedis. Your capital adequacy also strengthened, with industry ratio increasing to 22.3% from 17.5% a year ago. Asset quality, that has also improved, with the NPL ratio declining from 23.6% down to 18%. These developments demonstrate the resilience of the banking sector, and it reflects the collective efforts undertaken by all institutions, including ourselves, represented right here. Nonetheless, we must not become complacent. Elevated credit risks remain a concern, and banks must continue to strengthen credit underwriting standards. They have to improve recovery processes, and they must comply fully with regulatory requirements that are aimed at reducing non-performing loans to tolerable prudential targets.
That was Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama. Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Jare, has called on cement manufacturers in Ghana to prioritize local raw materials over expensive imports to ensure long-term, cost-effective infrastructure growth. The following 3 business users report has more.
Delivering the keynote address at the high-profile Intersem Africa 2026 conference in Accra, the minister pointed out that Ghana's expanding industrialization agenda will naturally trigger a higher demand for cement. However, she emphasized that this growth must not come at the expense of the economy or the environment. The push for local substitutes comes amid deep structural limitations within Ghana's traditional manufacturing framework. According to Frederick Albrecht, the chairman of the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers Ghana and CEO of CBI Ghana, the country possesses limited suitable limestone deposits, making traditional domestic clinker production completely unfeasible. Albrecht explained that relying on imported clinker exposes local builders to heavy financial shocks due to global supply disruptions, port congestion, and volatile fuel prices. He noted that clinker production requires extreme temperatures up to 1,500 degrees Celsius, which spikes production costs. To bypass these hurdles, stakeholders at the summit are championing the transition to limestone calcined clay cement and other eco-friendly alternatives.
And that was a 3 business news report on Ghana's trade minister demanding shift to local raw materials in cement production. And now let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against other major trading currencies and how some of the key commodities are also faring on the global market.
On On the interbank foreign exchange market, the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 17 pence worth. It lost 2 pence worth. The British pound is selling at 14 cedis 77 pence worth. It lost 23 pence worth. The euro is selling at 12 cedis 81 pence worth. It also lost 17 pence worth. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at the Forex Bureau name. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $79.55 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,203.62 per ounce, down by $53.31. Cocoa is trading at $4,237 per ton. It recorded no price change.
Well, that's how we end the business news. For more news updates, just log on to our website, s3news.com. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind. It costs nothing to be kind. My colleague Mawuena Egbeta continues with the morning show. Good morning.
Three FM.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning. Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning.
Big thank you to George Quainin, and hello there. Welcome to the 3FM Sunrise here on 3FM 92.7. It's Friday, which means the weekend is here. And it comes with a lot of excitement for a lot of people, right? But let's get into our message of motivation today. Today I want to share a story with you, right? A story I came across not here in Ghana, but outside of Ghana in Nigeria. And the import, very important in the fact that we don't do life alone. We don't do life alone. So there's a story which was shared by a man that he was really low on fuel, but he needed to go pick up his kids from school. He was just praying that the fuel just brings him home. He drove, picked them up, and on their way, the car stopped in the middle of the road. His fears had come true. He had given his wife all the money he had for house upkeep, so he was literally on zero funds. One of his clients was expected to have paid some money for a property he listed, but that money was yet to come through. And that caused him significant discomfort. While not knowing what to do, he called a friend and told him his ordeal. The friend asked a simple question: where are you? After that, no other word came from the friend, and he dropped the call. He was there contemplating, thinking, what am I to do? How do I even get my kids out of the vehicle and seek to find alternative transport when I am literally zero on cash? While he sat contemplating and thinking as to whether to call his wife and ask that, you know what, the money I sent, can you resend it to me so I can have us get out of this tight spot that we're in? His friend pulled up with a jerry can in his vehicle filled with fuel. He came with 5 liters of fuel. And the relief on his face in the story that he shared was palpable. Now, here is one addition he makes to the story, which I want to share with all of us today. That in this life, don't do it alone. Have people you can call on, and be someone others too can call on. Because there will be difficulties, that's a certainty. But in all of it, God uses friends, family, and others to help us get out of difficulties as they come. And so do well to be someone whom others can call on, and always be that person who will stretch out an arm to help. That's our message of motivation on this wonderful Friday morning. It's already wet in some parts of the capital as I journeyed to the office, and so it will get us into our weather updates this morning. And if you're yet to leave the house, an umbrella will be a great idea, because early this morning patches of mist are expected to develop over parts of the coastal forests and mountainous regions amidst pockets of slight to moderate rain along the coast. Later in the afternoon and into the evening, thunderstorms accompanied by rain are expected over most parts of the country, while mostly cloudy conditions prevail elsewhere. And so it will be a good idea to grab an umbrella as you step out today. And let's get into some music right now for you here on the show, after which, when we return, we get into all of the newspapers for you here on the 3FM Sunrise. as well as happenings on the online portals, right? I'll take you back to the conference yesterday on reparations. The president spoke for quite some time. I'll have us listen to the president on that score. And there's an interesting one. If you owe student loans and you are not paying and you're a salaried worker with government, there's a likelihood the deductions will start. It will start pretty soon. So I'm starting with the Daily Post this morning. Big banner story. Do you think I'm stupid? Wait for a new showdown in 2027. Kennedy Japan fires warning shot at the NPP. And it's all in relation to the Afare military hospital and the comment he made. Correct. Let's find that video and the exact comment he made and the subsequent reactions that have come forth from different persons within the NPP, which resulted in him calling into his station yesterday. Well, I can't tell if he called in or he was called. But that brought about fresh anger on his part, and I don't want to call them threats, but here's what Kennedy Japan said when he was quizzed by the media about the Afare military hospital, which has subsequently blown in the face of everybody, and there's fresh conversations.
When we decided to go and inspect Afare, they stopped us. We didn't go. So I heard somebody talking 15 months. As Afare hospital been there for 15 months. We were there for 8 years. You didn't do it. Don't blink your eye. See, we are not doing politics. I'm speaking the truth. This is Ghana. Stop that. We will criticize NBC, we will criticize MPP. That's the only way to go. I was chairman. NBC started this. Why didn't you complete it? You were there for 8 years, you didn't complete it. When somebody comes for 15 months, then you have a problem. Please, give me a break. Ghana, we should love our nation and stop playing politics with everything and do the right thing for the country. And that is what I'm doing. You see, when I mentioned MPP, he was blinking his eye. Why do you want me to criticize NDC and leave MPP? When I know that both parties, they didn't do the right thing for the country.
Own party. One of such is the ranking on the health committee, Dr. Ayu Free, who says that look, he lied and has not been honest about it because the committee which visited the facility was the health committee amongst many other things. And well, like I was telling you, either he was called or he called into his own station. He made fresh comments yesterday and said, doubled down on the comment he made for one and subsequently suggested that look, there will be a fresh showdown in 2027 and that he's not bitter, right? Now, also on the front page of the Daily Post, over 4,000 workers on government payroll owe student loans. Controller and Accountant General is saying this. 4,000 workers. Also, NPP has no duty to produce Ken Oforiatta for prosecution. Richard Ahiagba. NDC to rename party's headquarters after Rawlings as Ghana marks ex-president's 79th birthday. Would he have wanted this though? Considering he was big on namings and the fact that he didn't want his name on any monument whilst he was alive. But anyway, you can never tell, right? The Catalyst newspaper, next on my bill, reparations fight has reached turning point. Ablakwa says Ghana wins global backing as Europe, churches and international institutions confront slavery and colonialism. MCE cuts sword for major infrastructure expansion at Joabing SHS. Court adjourns Woontumi's 30 million cedis Exim ban case to July 6th. is to allow for plea negotiations between them to proceed. And local footwear industry laments influx of cheap Chinese imports. The trade minister is here. Elizabeth Ofosui Jare is pictured in that story as well. The new finder, Fitch predicts 5% growth rate for Ghana in 2026. They also have that all-important win from yesterday, 2026 World Cup. Caleb Urinchi powers Ghana to a 1-0 victory over Panama. Oil prices fall as US and Iran sign interim deal. Well, that's been thrown into limbo because Iran says they are going to suspend the agreement and prices are beginning to climb again, right? They are suspending the agreement because of the strike by Israel on Lebanon. That was part of the agreement, and they believe that there should be ceasefire across all boards. Israel should not be firing into Lebanon, and there should be general peace, and that has not happened, and so we're seeing prices climb again. Charlie, can't all of this just come to an end for things to return to normal? We're tired. Genuinely. An agreement is reached today, prices are attempting to fall, and suddenly one party says, no, you've done something, I don't agree with you, so we're going back. I mean, so Brent is back to $80 per barrel, 77 in terms of crude. And we'll see how all of that plays out in the coming days. A bit more for you here on the front page of the Finder newspaper. Rising producer inflation not immediate threat to consumer prices, and government spends 888.8 million cedis on tertiary education support. The Daily Guide newspaper is next on my bail. Big banner story: Jubilant lawyer dies over Ghana-Panama march. As a very sad one, unfortunate as it seems. Was called to the bar in 2025 from the reports, and in the celebration, unfortunately, she suffered a cardiac arrest, according to reports, and it's unfortunate she passed. Celebrate responsibly or face arrest. Police to WASI candidate. They completed their West African Senior Secondary Certificate exam. They are finishing or rounding it up today. The police is asking that, look, celebrate by all means, but don't go about destroying property, amongst many other things. Also here, Mahama calls for responsibility in global push for reparation. Exim Bank fraud case, court gives wound to me AG time to discuss plea bargain. Oforiatta trial and absentia still on the cards, according to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Daily Gist, next on my bill. Baumia unveils kitchen cabinet for 2028 polls. Where is Sedina Tamaklo as confusion rages? Miracles Abuaje questions judicial neutrality under CJ Bafo Boni. Government blows 25 million cedis on deputy ambassadors, and AG takes Oforiatta's case to U.S. Justice Department. Also here, Eurojet inflates Afari Hospital outstanding bills from $500,000 to $85 million. Minority bar. of the president during his address from yesterday, and bring us a bit more in terms of details as well here for you on the 3 he address presidents from other jurisdictions. I know that Emmanuel Macron joined virtually, amongst many other things, as we began conversations on the next steps towards reparatory justice here in the Republic. But there's other matters that have been brewing, which we've been following for you, inclusive of baby theft. And yesterday, my colleague Christopher Mwako reported that the family of the victim, whose baby has gone missing at the Salaga hospital, are threatening, amongst many other things, that if the facility does not produce the baby, they will see where true power lies. As to what has become of the situation, we're going to connect with Christopher Mwako this morning and get a sense of what's happened since that announcement came through from the family, but also walk you down a disturbing trajectory, right? A disturbing trajectory of such instances amongst many other things. And so persons give birth and allege that their babies have gone missing. The facilities say you may have lost a child. The parents believe that the baby has been stolen. I mean, recently, about some 4 to 5 months ago, there was such incident in the capital, Accra. I want to walk you through what it is that we've been documenting, right? For friends who are on Facebook or following on Facebook as well as on YouTube, you can see exactly what I'm reading from. But if you're listening to us on 3FM 92.7 and Kesme 107.1 FM as well in Tamale, we appreciate you. Here's what we've been documenting, right? Instances of 10 of such cases, confirmed abductions, amongst many other things. And 3 of such hospitals, and the remaining in markets, and some as well in homes, right? In the last 24 months alone. So abductions, if we can call them that. But in some instances, the name has become baby theft. And so in the central and greater Accra regions, it's come off as though it's happened more times than you can count in these areas. In the central region, 3 of such cases. In the greater Accra region, 2. The Upper West 1, Ashanti 1, Northern 1, Western 1, and then Savannah also 1. And the chronology of such incidents are such that in 2024, Kaswa to be specific, the suspects claim that the newborn died at a polyclinic, and investigations led to the arrest of 3 persons. In the Greater Accra region, a 7-month-old baby was taken away from her mother by a helpful stranger. That was in February of 2025. In July of 2025, at the Ijumako Central Market, an 11-month-old baby was abducted. A suspect, Rebecca Ofori, was identified via CCTV. In the Upper West region, a 1-week-old baby was stolen by a suspect posing as a hospital caretaker. The baby was subsequently rescued as well in Agogo of the Ashanti region. A newborn was taken during postnatal washroom break. A postnatal washroom break. That was in November of 2025. In December, in Tamale, a suspect posing as a nurse at One Heart Hospital with guard and nurse as well being investigated, saw a baby as well being stolen. Then in Bogoso, in the western region, a mother befriended someone, resulting in an 8-month-old baby taken, and that case proceeded to the Tarkwa Circuit Court. In February of 2026, which I was talking to you about 4 months ago, the Mamprobi polyclinic situation where a 4-day-old baby was taken, was recovered. What has happened to prosecution in that particular case remains to be seen. And then in Kaswa, a trafficking ring was dismantled and an infant sold for 35,000 cedis was subsequently rescued. And then we're having this Salaga incident in the Savannah region where a newborn has gone missing and the midwives have been remanded and investigations are ongoing. So in all, 10 abductions. In terms of the rescues, we've seen 5. Active court cases are 3, and there is still one of such missing in the East Gonja District Hospital. I'm going to connect us to Christopher Mwaku, who is my colleague, to get a bit more in terms of this Salaga situation. Chris, I appreciate you joining us. Talk to us as to development in Salaga and what's happened since the family issued that ultimatum to have the baby produced.
Yes, so Mawuena, I can confirm to you that the baby has not been found since she went missing at the Salaga Government Hospital. Now, yesterday, the 2 suspects who were arrested by the police in Salaga, yesterday the Tamale Circuit Court granted them bail to a tune of 150,000 each with 2 sureties. I can also confirm to you that the youth and family members of the missing baby have vowed to destabilize the peace of the hospital should the baby not be produced within 3 days. And today we have entered the 2nd day. Tomorrow would be 3 days for the ultimatum they have given to expire. But I can also confirm that police in Salaga have been on top of this matter. They have also cautioned the youth of Kulupi and the family members of the missing baby to be cautious and careful in their dealings as they investigate this particular matter. They say that yes, the baby is missing, the matter is under investigation, and that their conduct can mar the smoothness of the investigation and also mar the peace of the Salaga community. And so whoever that his or her conduct will impede upon the peace of the area will find himself or herself at the wrong side of the law. And so police have begun patrolling around the Salaga hospital. They have also ensured that all the parties involved have a meeting to reach a consensus as to how to go about this particular issue without any form of challenges. And so other stakeholders like the Member of Parliament for the Salaga South constituency have also been talking to the youth of the Kulupi community to calm down and allow police to investigate the matter. The hospital management have also begun some engagement to install CCTV cameras around the entry point and exit points of the hospital. And so that is the latest update in relation to that. But as of yesterday, I am hearing that the Director General of the Ghana Health Service is also expected to visit the Salaga community to engage with the stakeholders. You talk about the Pembiura, who is the overlord of the Pembi traditional area. You talk about the Member of Parliament, the MC, the police, and other key stakeholders in this matter to ensure that they allow police to investigate so that they will unravel the mystery behind this missing baby.
So, Chris, beyond the caution by the police and the Member of Parliament, are we seeing police presence, some sort,
yes, but
around
seeing,
the hospital?
We are seeing police presence around the hospital. In fact, even as of yesterday, the police, when they returned from Tamale with the suspects who were granted bail, the deployment was made to just patrol around the vicinity of the hospital. Let me also be quick to add that the youth of Salaga, that is residents of the Salaga community, are not also happy about the utterances of the youth of Kulpi, because for them this is going to mar the peace of the area. It's about a missing baby. They believe that the family members and the youth of the Kulpi community should allow the police to investigate, and that if they are coming to attack the hospital, even they, the residents, will not allow that to happen. And so everybody is on the alert in Salaga to ensure that they do not allow the youth to get to the hospital to destabilize the peace of the hospital. The police, on the other hand, the patrols is ongoing. Some of the divisional command police officers also once in a while enter the hospital and move around the exit points, and also just randomly move around, then go out. And so as for the hospital, I don't think that should the youth even decide to, the youth of Kulpi even decide to attack the hospital, they will have any space to do so, because first of all, residents are on the alert and the police are also on the alert as well.
For the member of parliament, she was initially chased out of the community on the back of that development. Has she been able to smoothen relations and get the youth groupings to come to a head in understanding that she's also seeking and attempting to play her role in having this missing baby found?
Yes, so on Sunday when she tried engaging with the youth of the community as well as the family members and was denied. She has since left the constituency and is in Accra. But even in Accra, she continues to engage, especially the assembly member of the Kulpi community and other relevant stakeholders, especially party people, to try and calm the youth down. I am reliably informed, in fact, that yesterday, that should the Director General of the Ghana Health Service be coming to Salaga, she's expected to be with them, and when she comes, she will be going back to the community again to continue the engagement, because for now, the youth of the Kulpi community are indeed very, very angry. If you are entering the community, the banner, a big banner, of course, that you meet is that no child, no entry. And once they suspect that this is someone who is not from the community but coming there because of the missing baby issue, you are denied entry and you are denied audience. And that is the stand of the youth of the community.
Chris, I want to talk about the suspects now, persons who were picked up. Have we been able to get an understanding as to what they've been telling the police? Because the question which remains is where the baby is. Is there an idea whether this was a trafficking or the baby being sold to somebody else? Where is the baby in all of this? Is there a semblance of understanding as to what may have happened at the hospital?
Yes, so from the hospital's perspective and the statement from the two suspects, yes, it's true that the baby was delivered at the Salaga hospital around 6:30 a.m. It is also true that when the baby was delivered, the baby was in distress because of the time of labor and the distance of where the mother came from. And so, yes, baby was delivered, but because of the distress, needed to have been put on oxygen. And so the baby was moved from the labor ward to the NICU. And so after stabilizing the baby the oxygen was removed and the baby was fine. So this is how the two nurses come in. Now, because they are at the NICU, one of them, the male, decided to go out and run some photocopies, according to his statement to police. Now, when he went out, the other lady also has a small baby and needed to breastfeed the baby. And so, if you enter the Salaga hospital, the NICU and the nurses changing room. It's just like you leave this room, you enter the other room. And so she entered the other one. Now, within 20 minutes, the baby went missing because the mother was also in distress and was in a different ward. So if the baby was in good condition, probably baby would have been lying with mother. And so if the baby went missing, the mother would have been the one to be questioned. But in this instance, the mother was in a different ward, the baby was in a different room. And so the mother didn't even know what was happening to the baby. The mother's in-law, that is the patient relative, was also readily not available in there. The woman's husband had also gone to buy some medicine, according to the statements they gave to police, because the woman was not in a good condition and they had prescribed some drugs for the husband to go and buy. So it was when the husband arrived, after some time, demanded that he wanted to see the baby. So the nurses told him to wait. By then, the nurses had realized that the baby was not there. So that was the starting point of the whole issue. So the mom did not have access to the baby. After a while, the hospital management had to meet the man and tell him that we cannot find your baby. And that was where the man became alarmed and also informed his people. Then later the police were notified. That is for the two nurses who were on duty that day. Now, Mawuena, I must also say that in the course of investigation, a lot of issues have come up. First of all, the nurses have admitted that there was a certain lady who was just moving around the hospital, the maternity block, and was even questioning what she was doing there, which she couldn't give any better explanation, but they just let her go. As it stands now, that lady is one of the suspects, but they cannot identify who the lady was. And so that is one aspect of it. Now, the other aspect of it is a lot of things or issues, informations are coming up in this. And the police have indicated that because the matter is under investigation, we should keep some of the things out of the public domain so that it will allow them to be able to do their investigations well.
Right then, Chris, I appreciate you. Just finally, on the part of the hospital administrators, I recall when the Mamprobi incident in Accra happened, there was a directive for CCTV cameras to be put across hospitals the country over. From what you tell us, the authorities at the facility are now seeking to have CCTVs installed. Is there an explanation possibly as to why they could not, and how they are reacting as well to the development which is causing negative PR for them at this point in time?
Yes, Mawuena, I can say that the hospital has not put any CCTV cameras around, especially the entry point. Now, what they have done is that the hospital has a particular area, that is the pharmacy. If you go to the pharmacy right now, the CCTV camera is working. You go to the OPD, the CCTV camera is working. And somewhere around the theater, apart from these areas, the CCTV camera is not working around the other parts of the hospital. And so the explanation the management have been given is that because of patients' rights, because of issues of confidentiality and all those things, they believe that around the wards, that is why they have not been able to install the CCTV cameras. But this incident, according to management, has actually awakened them, and as it stands, have begun consultations. In fact, even gotten someone to come and ensure that CCTV cameras are installed across the hospital, probably not around the wards, but around the entry points of the hospital. That management have confirmed that they are going to do.
Right then, Chris, I appreciate you and the details you've been bringing to us this morning. That's Christopher Marco, is my colleague in the northern and savannah regions for us, following up on this baby theft incident. We're going to hear from the mother of the missing child who's been speaking, and one other person. Chris has been engaging them. Let's hear from the mother explain in her own version and account what happened.
Madam, it's saying. Okay. Cecilia, what to say? Okay. Yet they say, Wabe Salaga Hospital, Ubano, so, Yakase Ubano, saying, how do you feel?
No, Oma Yam Akolano. So, me, my mobile fan or Akolano. No, Oma Penise or Mofi Akolano. No, Omose Akolano, no Fano. Mi kuno kwato adrono omobe fa akorano ntemi kuno kwato adrono omafi akorano na mabeda mpanaso akorano omo fa akorano mame ntemi kuno ne me mame no omo ahu na akorano na ma sorry akwa biso omo se akorano wai na omo se akorano wa babi omo fe akorano me ko fe no akorano ni wo na mabe choro omo na korane ni wo
ba wa wa akolane de wa hu akolane ni
mpacho ma hono
oyoba na be ma
oyoba
nti sisia no a wo hu akolano wapomudin ti se wankasa no sen na asem no esi fa yewu
asem no le asinu se akolano o mo anfa akolane mame ti eni na ha me.
All right, so basically what this woman is saying is that after delivering, yes, she actually saw the baby is a female, but later when she inquired to have a feel of the baby, she was told that the baby was nowhere to be found. And as it stands now, more than 24 hours, the baby is still not found. And so she's worried, she's traumatized, even though she's in a stable condition.
We're on our way to Salaga.
Which is her own account as to what may have transpired. Let's hear from this other person who appears to be a relative, a hospital administrator at the facility, speaking to what may have happened.
This was an incident that was brought to our attention, myself and the medical superintendent, whilst we were on our way to Salaga. So quickly we informed the staff to make a formal report to the police because this is something strange to us. As a hospital, we have never experienced this situation. So we had to report to the police for the police to take it up. What Salaga Hospital is known for, in fact, is taking care of abandoned babies that have been abandoned and brought to this institution. So it was something that was very traumatizing and worrying to the hospital management. And then the management felt that they should involve the police. So this incident was also reported to the Regional Director of Health Services. And as we talk, the Regional Director has constituted a team who are on their way to Salaga to also come and assess the situation and get the facts and circumstances surrounding the whole incident. We have engaged the family. Yesterday, the atmosphere was so tense. But as time went on, when things were calm, we engaged the relatives, and then we expressed our disappointment at the whole issue, and we took them through counseling. The woman too has also been taken through counseling, and she's attending to treatment well. She's doing well. This morning, she was reviewed, and she's even walking around. Our interaction with the midwives confirmed that there was a young lady that was loitering around, of which they even questioned her what she was doing there. But then she said she was waiting for somebody. Somebody has asked her to wait there, and that she was waiting for the person. And the young lady, they described her and all that. So we are looking at it, how we can put that information together to see how we can give this information out so that together we see how the public can help and support the hospital to unravel the situation and help bring back this baby.
speaking to the issue, and so most certainly one that we'll keep an eye on, but of concern, right? Of concern because of the added bit as to the presence of one other individual who nobody knew, and that is if the assertion by the health professionals or the health workers is anything to go by. The sense of security, right, by ordinary persons has to go up a notch higher. It's not, and this is a big if, right? It's a big if. If their account is anything to go by, if it were to be believed, why do you see somebody loitering around a hospital, loitering around where babies are kept, and you ask them who they are, what they are about, and you don't find the need to probe further, right? Genuinely, it's one thing that we fail to do. We fail to do as citizens. Sometimes a careless abandon of some sort, and that's a big if. I continue to say a big if. If their story is anything to go by, or if we were to believe what it is that they are saying, a simple probing. Who are you? What are you doing here? You can't be here, amongst many other things, could give a semblance of an idea as to who this alleged third party is and assist police with investigations. Now that we understand there was even no CCTV footage to start off with, right? And so that's just another of the many things that in our own small ways we should be able to do. If you come across an individual in your premises, a company where you work at, or in and they are known, nothing stops you from asking further questions to catch a sense of what they are, who they are, and what they look like, so as to provide a bit more details to security persons if something were to happen, right? But big on the agenda and the talking point as well, and I'm sure we'll get a bit more from this later on when we get into our big conversations, even as we talk mental health and Father's Day a lot later this morning as well. For a military hospital and the recent outbursts. And so we have a simple ledger of facts, right, in relation to what's been happening to the facility. This week when we've been discussing it, where I've stood is a very simple place, that no matter what, the politicking, and I started it, it was 95% complete, it was 97% complete. As ordinary Ghanaians, we care little about what percentage of completion it was at when anybody was in office. What we care about is that the facility is up and running 16 years after it was started, or near 16 years, because the conceptualization of this project, we understand, was as far back as former President Kufuor. So we cannot come full circle 16 years plus down the line, and the conversation will be centered around 97% complete. How much is left to? No, I'm sorry, but that should not be the focus of the conversation. It should be how we are completing it so persons can use, right? But here's the ledger of fact as we have it in relation to this project. It's a 500-bed military hospital, 500-bed. The one which was demolished around Labadi, La General Hospital, which is being reconstructed and the project is up and about, it's not up to 500 bed. And so this is a huge facility. It's located at Afari in the Ashanti region. The contractor is Eurojet, the invest. The contract sum was $180 million, with construction starting in 2014. It was expected to have been completed in 42 months. That was in 2018, max. And so, over a decade on, the hospital or the facility is still not open for use. Now, to the dispute in relation to completion, there are two completely different narratives. The government position is that overall completion stands at 60%, civil works is at 97%, and then biomedical or mechanical systems is at 5%. The previous administration holds a completely different perspective. They say that the facility is reportedly 96 to 97% complete. They don't break it down in the manner in which the government has. And Patrice was here, was asking questions. And we've been trying to get the ranking on the health committee, Dr. Ayuefri as well. Unfortunately, our calls to him have not been particularly fruitful. But we will pursue this particular one. What is the forensic observation? The building in itself is completed, but it is not necessarily a functioning hospital. Then it brings us to the question of what makes a hospital complete. Is it the ordinary building being there, or it takes more for you to state emphatically that a hospital facility is complete? Well, you need medical equipment. You need staffing. And with a 500-bed capacity facility, oxygen systems will be needed. There will be a need for testing. There will be a need for power systems, water systems, licensing, and as well, infrastructure, IT infrastructure. All of these are not readily available, and so the facility is not open. If we are to walk through the pace of when the project started and where we are at now, we know that in March 2014 was when construction started. And I was telling you that the original completion date was max end 2018. Between 2017 and 2024, the project remained unopened, and completion disputes have surfaced amongst many other things. The minority's position is that only $5 million is needed to complete the facility. They say that the Afari Military Hospital must be prioritized above all else. They add that the site is deteriorating and abandoned materials has been left to the wear and tear and the mercy of the weather. And it's additionally putting pressure on the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. The government, on the other hand, says, look, as much as 85 million cedis is needed to round up this hospital project, $7 million in claims, $78 million as well in additional claims by the contractor to have the work done. It brings me to the question, entire contract sum, 180. After 10 plus years, nearly half, or more than half of that actually, or nearly half, I should say, is needed to return the facility to completion. Then comes the Kennedy Japan factor, which has resulted in internal dispute as well for the NPP amidst all of this Afari conversation, asking why his own people did not complete the project while they were in office. Right? And asking that blame should be across board and not just for the NDC, who are seemingly not doing anything about the project. It comes back to the question I've been asking. As citizens, nobody is interested in a debate as to who started what and if enough has been done by one side. The most important questions are, can I receive treatment today? How much more of taxpayers' money must be sunk into a project 10 years on? Who's delayed the project? When will it open? And who must be held accountable for all of what has played out? That last question, more often than not, is never answered in any of our delayed projects. Why has a hospital started in 2014 still not treated a single patient? Not even one. When all is said and done, what sticks out in terms of all of the facts is that construction started in 2014. Original delivery was in 42 months. The hospital remains unopened. Completion rates and what remains is in dispute. At the bottom line, we need some more dollars to pump in to ensure that the facility is completed. Failure of which it continues to remain a guarded, deserted wasteland of uncompleted buildings somewhere in Afari in the Ashanti region. What is true is that this has passed through the hands of different administrations. And Konfonochi will continue to come under pressure amidst the closure of emergency wards, amongst many other things. And for both you and I, particularly those in the Ashanti and Northern belts, you are continuously being denied a 500-bed facility. In fact, it also means health professionals cannot be posted. 500-bed facility. Work the math as to how many more persons could potentially receive employment or be posted there. These and more is why, goes into the basis upon which we're asking the question that why can't we return, complete this facility? All well and good, the intention of CHIPS compound in every district or municipality in fulfillment of free primary health care. We need all the help we can get, in truth, when it comes to hospital facilities. And Afari alone cannot be enough. But it is an indictment that 10 years on, both political parties will continue to haggle over who did what could have happened, amongst many other things. Right? And so this is where we are at. The responsibility spanning two administrations, and frankly put, NPP and NDC. The NDC says, God being so good, President Mahama has returned to complete his facility. $85 million. Where are we picking it from to complete the facility? It's another of the many questions that we can ask. Right? And so that continues to be the situation. I'll go on to Facebook and read a few messages as to what a number of you have been telling us in relation to our conversations this morning here on the show. Right? And then we will ready ourselves as well to get into a bit more in terms of sports. because we know that the Mundial is still on, and there will be a lot of interest as we continue to bring to you live games here on TV3 as well as live commentary on 3FM 92.7. What appears to be brewing tensions within the opposition NPP, particularly on the back of the Safari Military Hospital. And I think one of the papers captured the story quite succinctly. The Daily Post of Kennedy Japan saying that there will be another showdown from 2027 till God knows when. Right? The story is on pages 4 and 7 of the Daily Post. And I will proceed to provide a bit more in terms of the details before, if I can, I'll allow us hear from Kennedy Japan in his own words. And so the former NPP flag bearer aspirant, right, Kennedy Ohene Japan, has warned the NPP that he will open their can of worms from June 2027 if they dare him from henceforth, adding that the fact that he's been quiet in the face of all the attacks on him by Bawumia loyalists does not mean he is stupid, adding that his detractors within the NPP cannot toy with his intelligence. Speaking on Net2 TV yesterday, he said that for strategic reasons, he had decided to keep quiet in the face of all the attacks on him by some loyalists of the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. He said the attacks on his health can only come from people who are immature and do not understand that anybody can fall. However, he said he has had enough of the insult. In fact, he mentioned specific names. I've seen a few who've reacted to it and said this cannot always be the path he chooses to toe when persons disagree with him within the party. I want to know what you think as well in relation to what it is that he said. But here a brief excerpt of exactly what he said. It's in the Tree language, bits and pieces in English as well. But we'll listen to him briefly. I'll return and have sports take over as well for you here on the 3FM Sunrise.
Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning.
Almost 85%. Then I hear my uncle. See, Minya, Assembly NDC for mistake, NPP for mistake. A Ghana, and you did not to a parcel, and you have yeah, the only pa, Omo Yaria, Minka, will be CCA, you didn't call China. The refer will be or India. And to see a year, you don't call India and not China. Say, Yadian Toa, and I will say, oh, more dainty, put me cut in Opibia. May MPP for them be better. Men can be the answer. Now, almost said, Niomo Yano, our campaign, they made they can't shut me down. Ghana for person here. Women say almost agenda 111. Almost to be completely back Ukraine. Almost don't contract, you know, and demand other people at 10%. Ghana, me say, and then NPP for they should be careful with me. So maybe you're better. Only a mess beans all over the place. Now, man, I can't say, me my president, I mean, maybe free me sight, you never know. I'm only thinking of the youth of this country and not entity. Agenda 111, Mumisa Wom, Saba Kokrom Ria. They sold Obiti contract now I got home. Watching 10%. Anybody to me, we are moving about the criticizing NDC for me, and we're being so day. Contract Abraham said, on ye, now on 11%, $55 million or per 11%. And you want advance 7% and say, no, the amount. Masa, Anna, Eddie, and Yakui.
And I'm going to end on that allegation he makes as well of somebody within the present administration, amongst many other things. It will be very important if he were to provide additional details. But this is where I'll leave my sermon and leave you in the able hands of DJ Phil as we ready ourselves for the very latest in the world of sports.
Hold on to me. 3FM Sunrise.
We're going to talk sports for you briefly. We get into our sport of commercials and return.
Story goes on for the slim chopper guy. History got talk, I was sustained, but
injury, and usually a groin injury can take up between 6 to 8 weeks for you to recover, before you possibly even recover before you get onto the page to do some light work. So as it stands, we are being told that yesterday the training session he was not involved in that, and they said there's going to be an assessment by the medical team to know the extent of the injury. But from what we are seeing and from what we know, hindsight, when it comes to groin injuries, Atizigi might not be available to face England. So it looks like Benjamin Asare might be the one to start in that game.
So Benjamin Asare, most likely to be in post for us when we face England. The team has been in recovery. We've seen videos of that. How has that also been like? And preparations as well for that big game on Tuesday.
It looks like nothing has changed in terms of their preparation, in terms of the mood and calm, right from when they were about to play Panama. It's not because it's England the training would intensify or nothing has changed. It's always business as usual. But something needs to change about the team. Something definitely needs to change about the team. Mawuena, let's be real with ourselves. You know, the way we played against Panama in that first half, if you're playing a quality England side, even without the Bukayo Sakas, even without the Bukayo Sakas, if they have the Noni Maduekes, the Ole Watkins, by the time you go into the recess, try to talk to your players, try to change something, you'll be down by at least 3 goals. If we're playing a quality, a side that had quality up front, we would have been down by 3 goals. The only thing that played in our part was the fact that Panama did not have quality up front to finish off those chances that they created. So a lot needs to change in terms of our play. And there's a controversial subject at the moment. Where does Jordan Ayew fit in? Do you sit him on the bench? Does he start? I mean, I told somebody that Jordan situation is like the Cristiano Ronaldo situation. You need to carefully and properly deal with it, because these are players who divide a lot of opinion among the masses. Just like what Cristiano Ronaldo is suffering at Portugal at the moment. Jordan is having the same thing. But there seems to be a reason why almost every coach that has come across Jordan wants to play him. And for a defensive-minded coach like Carlos Queiroz, Mawuena, I can tell you, he prefers to have Jordan in there because of his hold-up play, his ability to hold the ball and play with his back to goal, because he's a defensive-minded coach. If you are playing an attacking-minded coach like Pep Guardiola, he will not play Jordan Ayew, because he wouldn't see the need for Jordan, because Pep always wants to be on the front foot. But from the Roy Hodgson days that Jordan started playing as a number 7 at Crystal Palace, almost every manager wants to use Jordan. Every manager that plays defensively wants to use Jordan. That is why it looks like in this Carlos Queiroz team, it would be extremely surprising to see Jordan sit on the bench.
Well, if you ask me,
I'm asking you.
Considering what will be pressure which will come to bear on us when we face England, there's actually a good shout for him to be in that game. Because he's able to receive and draw a foul.
Okay.
Right? If he has an A game in that aspect and also contributes defensively, he will contribute in releasing pressure which will come to bear on us. Because from a general standpoint, and I was telling someone yesterday that, look, if you thought against Panama it looked bad, it will look absolutely worse when we take on England, because they have more quality. Right. And so from minute one, you'll be under pressure. Yeah. And you need an outlet to relieve that pressure.
Very important outlet.
And so in looking at it, I can see the sense in, unless we're getting a runner in his stead, where that runner will feed off scraps, a Samoajan type of play. Yeah. You balloon it long, he's chasing.
You know, Jose Mourinho is a defensive-minded coach. Yeah. Under Real Madrid, Ozil was the one releasing that pressure of the team. Anytime he gets the ball, Ozil is very good with handling the ball. So once he takes the ball, when Ozil left the scene, it was Isco who was doing that business for Real Madrid. You always need, if you are a defensive-minded coach, you always need that type of player
who can
take the ball, calm down pressure, hold the ball, draw a foul, then you move forward. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you a very interesting subject. I know you're a Messi fan, but you're a very honest person. What do you think about the Cristiano Ronaldo's situation? Honestly, he's 41 years. Now there's...
You're going to put me in a spot where my siblings and persons in the office
I know you are somebody again. When you are analyzing a situation like this, I mean, off record, you can do your banter and all that, but you don't bring your biases in there. Yeah, he's 41 years. Now, people are blaming his teammates for not playing for him as compared to Messi and all that. But what do you holistically believe about this issue? Is it time that former players like Thierry Henry and a lot of them are currently saying that if Ronaldo wants to be a team player, he should accept that he's 41 and he's no longer the player he was some 8 years ago. So it's best for him to accept that this time his movement, everything has slowed. He would rather want to be on the bench and come in and make an impact rather than trying to start. What do you believe about this?
Ronaldo believes he's the best.
But
I'm making a point. He believes he's the best. And he believes he offers a lot when he's on the field. It will take us back to 2022. Yeah. That World Cup. He was benched in one game and
Goncalo Ramos
bagged the hat-trick, amongst many other things. Does he draw the team back to an extent? He does. Going into that game against Congo, after Mbappe scored 2, Haaland scored 2, Messi got a hat-trick, everybody said there was going to be pressure on him to try and get goals and try and also make a statement. Did he make him overly zealous to want to score?
Yeah,
maybe.
I saw that. Yeah.
Maybe. And that, in fairness, could prove a negative for the team. Right? Should he accept a role where he will come on from time to time? He doesn't have to start every game. I think the Congo game, he genuinely ought to have started. Things didn't go as well as it would have for Portugal, because a lot of people actually thought Congo was...
Yeah.
They could easily beat them amongst many others. It wasn't the situation. In the next game, I think he starts. He should start.
Against Uzbekistan.
Yes.
I mean, he better start.
Yes.
He starts. Don't start him against Uzbekistan, which team again?
He starts and he gets a few goals. There will be tougher competition. They could come up against Uruguay, for instance, where, depending on what the coach's tactics is, they'll need to be front foot in terms of pressing. Would he opt to start off the bench and come in with fresh legs? His movement in the box is fantastic. You can't take that away from him.
But Mawuena, you know one issue. There seems to be no coach currently.
Who can bench him?
So Thierry Henry is saying that the coaches do not have quote and unquote, you know what?
The willpower to be able to ask
him to say, okay, be on the bench. So it is up to Ronaldo to rather tell the coaches that, okay, I'm 41. You don't play. And he was even playing as a lone striker. How can you play?
Which is the point I was making. That he can't press and won't be able to make the runs consistent.
41-year-old footballer playing as a centre-back you may escape with that because you don't have to do a lot of running. You would want to play with the experience, try to, do the sweeper job and all. But as a striker, he said it's not possible. You can't have the impact that you want to have because you are playing against faster, younger players. Imagine Cristiano Ronaldo now playing against a player like Saliba, and you are always hitting the ball up front for him to run. Saliba will just sweep the ball and leave him. And we saw it against DR Congo. Chancellor Mbemba had Cristiano Ronaldo in his pocket. Not because Chancellor Mbemba is a good defender, but because Ronaldo is 41 years and he can't play as a lone striker. Something needs to change.
Which is why I'm making the point that does he accept the role that fresh in the second half when the legs are weary on the opposition, he comes in. The kind
of player I know Cristiano Ronaldo to be forget, he will never accept. He would always want to play, and that is why people are saying just let him play until he says he's retired from the national team.
That goes against the team.
Well, it's gone against the team for some time now, since 2022.
But they won the Nations League.
Yeah, they won the Nations League.
So to an extent, you can argue that there are the positives and then the negatives. In certain games, it will not come good. Yeah. But against Uzbekistan, I expect him to get
the name Ronaldo alone sends shivers down the spines of a lot of defenders.
Does it now? I don't think it does to that extent. If you give him the chance... If
I am standing in the tunnel with Ronaldo now, I would have it at the back.
You'll be mesmerized.
Yes, that this is Ronaldo. But on the pitch, I could use the little speed, the fact that I am a bit younger, and the strength I have against him. And that is what a lot of defenders have used against him in recent times. The Portugal situation is very dicey.
And I saw fans going on already attacking Bruno Fernandes
and other players.
Let's talk games we have today.
Today we have games to play. USA, one of the host nations, would be in action. They will come up against Australia. USA won their first game, beating Paraguay. We also saw Australia also doing a good job against Turkey, even though in the tournament they are the team to have played one of the least percentage of possession, but still won a game. That is Australia. So two teams who won the opening game will be coming up. That we'll have live commentary on that game at 7 p.m.
The USA game.
Yes, and it will be live on TV3 as well. Then there's a big one. Africa would be in action. Morocco coming up against Scotland.
That's at 10 p.m.
Scotland won their opening game against Haiti by 1-0, and Morocco drew against Brazil. So big one, Morocco, Scotland at 10 p.m.
But that won't be live.
That won't be live. But we are rooting for Morocco to win.
Absolutely. I expect them to beat Scotland, by the way. But Mutala, thank you very much.
I wanted to have DJ's opinion on the Ronaldo issue. But we'll have it. DJ. Just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds.
I'll have it.
Just 10 seconds.
DJ Phil.
Okay. DJ Phil.
So
what do you think of that issue?
I think Ronaldo should understand that he's growing because age catches everyone. That's what is happening.
Just age Achino.
And then actually, Jordan Ayew too. You get it? Just 1 year between him and Ronaldo. And the pace that they set, it's no more. They should understand. And just sit down for the young boys.
Why are you mentioning Jordan Ayew in this situation? DJ Phil, talking Ronaldo, you are mentioning Jordan Ayew.
And it just contagious, you know. And it never fails.
the Ifia constituency. He's also a private legal practitioner joining us in studio this morning. The Honorable Isaac Yaoboama Nyako is our guest in studio this morning. And so is the Director of Communications for the United Party, Solomon Owusu. We're all in studio with us this morning as we get into our big conversations for you here on the 3FM Sunrise. Gentlemen, good morning to you. I trust that we're all well.
Good morning. Yes, you.
Oh, let me help with that. Oh, okay. Phil will help me adjust the microphone properly. Honorable, I trust that all as well. It's the first time we have you in our studios, and I'm excited to have you join us.
That is correct, and a very good morning to you especially, and to 3FM for the wonderful work you've done and continue to do over the years. It's very surprising that this is my first time I'm coming to 3FM Sunrise, but it's good to have my beginning and baptism. I hope it doesn't become a baptism of fire.
You have a friend in Solomon Owusu.
Yeah, but at least he's warmed me into TV3 over the couple of weeks and months that he's been a very wonderful brother. I've known him for a while, a long while. I've always been asking him to return to his roots. Because
now he's Director of Communications. How easy will it be to have him return?
They are all de facto MPP people. So we should just reconcile our differences, because this country needs that force that includes and brains and personalities like them. I believe in the principle that established the New Patriotic Party. And that is what is supposed to bind us. I believe that when he joined the NPP, including our wonderful senior brother Alan Chemating, they believed in that same principle of development in freedom, where we're looking at collectively improving the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian and still providing some leverage of freedom in terms of expression, freedom in terms of wealth acquisition, freedom in terms of enjoying the life that you and also encourage hard work. If you look at the way they have lived, Alan has lived over the years, my own brother Solomon, it tells you they are a reflection of that particular motto of the NPP, development in freedom. So we would make time and continue to engage
them.
Yes. So at some point, I believe if you take the NDC, they've been there before. When President Rawlings brought in Atta Mills, we had a lot of breakouts. Igle Party had been there,
Gusitano even, I was going to mention.
Of course, they all went away. But where's Gusitano today? He's the one leading and spearheading the 24-hour economy. They've all been able to bridge their gaps. Now you don't even have Fonka games because the owner of Fonka is gone. Okay, and all of them have returned to their roots. I don't want to see a situation where we say we will return only after a long years in sojourning. So I'll plead with my colleagues, Solomon and his team, that let's reason together. And you have a lot to bring on board for the New Patriotic Party.
Solo, good morning to you. It's been a powerful message and a plea to you and the rest of your colleagues to return to the fold of the NPP.
That is what he's supposed to do, to canvass for more people to join the New Patriotic Party. By that, he would have satisfied the constitutional provision of their party, that you represent the party in good stead. So I do not begrudge him. In the same way, we will even go to the house of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and campaign to him why he must join the mother party, which is the United Party. Remember,
you went to Bawumia to campaign to him.
We will go and campaign to him because it's evangelism. You must win souls for your party, especially when the UP is the mother party that the NPP came out of. So if the mother is there, why do you join the subset? You understand? So I would rather encourage my brother to reconsider his
decision. So you are also urging him on to...
Yes, it's the universal set. The subset must join the universal set. That is all that I'm trying to say. Other than that, he's a fantastic man. I think the people of Ifia did not make a mistake in by voting for him. And unfortunately for him, like he rightly said, we all joined the MPP based on the principle. But unfortunately for him, that principle is not there. I don't see that principle in the MPP. Which principle in the MPP allows chairmen such as Abronye to be insulting at will? I mean, which principle is that? There is no cohesion, there is no discipline. And I didn't sign on to the MPP to face those things. If that was what was happening in the past, I don't think I would have ever joined the MPP, because I was a founding member of TESCOM. You understand? I have known the character of this party. That is not the MPP that he knew. I call this MPP Nana People's Party. I keep telling them that it is not the New Patriotic Party. So if they are mindful, they will see the direction that we are going to. I keep using this analogy. They want to make it like a two-party state. It's not a two-party state. The NDC will also have their own fair share. If you are observing, Ghanaians are now moving towards, they are gravitating towards Ghana first. But they have realized that the over-partisanship is not helping the country called Ghana. Right. And so, for me, as I'm sitting here, my heart is to Ghana. If the United Party, in spite of all these processes or programs that we have, I see people shifting positions and working against the interests of Ghana, I leave. It's Ghana first. Because flooding does not know MBB, NDC, United Party. Hunger does not know MBB, NDC, United Party. Right. Ghana must win.
I'm sure at the appropriate time we will deal with it.
But on the mention of the NPP, I know it's not part of the agenda, but since it's been mentioned and it's come up, there appears to be a bit of conversation in the last few weeks, particularly on the back of that Afari military hospital conversation. A leading figure in the party has been speaking, and yesterday he went onto his station again and was speaking about what appears to be hypocrisy to an extent in the conversation surrounding the Afari, and says that he will give the party a showdown again. That's a person of Kennedy Egbeta. I want to play back the audio just briefly as to what exactly he was saying yesterday. And then I'll pick quick thoughts. Then we get into Sedina Tamaklo and the rest of the other issues for a conversation. But this is what Kennedy Ejapon told Net2 TV yesterday.
Or the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, ECOI. Now, on checking in minutes, they share a friend Bisaya or Kase, almost 85%. Then I hear my uncle. You see, Minya, as I'm about NDC for mistake, MPP for mistake. And Ghana, and you did not to a passo, and you who. Yeah, the only pa, Omo Yaria, Minka, will be CCA, you didn't call China. The refer will be for India. And to see a year.
3FM 90.
You're going to call India and not China. Say, Yabian Toa, and I will say, more dainty, put me cut in Opibia. May MPP for them be better. May be the answer. Now, almost said,
media handles. Let me say good morning also to the good people of Ifia constituency. Coming in here, I've given indication that I'm coming to your studio. So I'm sure those who have the opportunity to watch us online or any other media platform, they'll be able to listen to this conversation, and also to encourage everybody to keep on listening to 3FM because of the insightful nature of your conversations that you bring to the table. Also to Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, my flag bearer. I greet him wherever he is. As you know rightly, he set up some sector economies, right? Sectors that he believes should be looking at the way to go in terms of redesigning and fashioning alternative policies for the development of this country. I happen to serve on the Finance and Economic Committee of that particular program that His Excellency has drawn. And we've had our initial meetings, and the future looks very interesting and promising. At the right time, when we're done with our policy formulation, the flag bearer will speak to them, and I can give Ghanaians some semblance of hope that the next Dr. Bawumia administration in 2029 should bring a lot more continuity in terms of development and growth in this country, and also put us on a path of a sustainable economic transformation. Having said that, with regards to what we've woken up to hear over the last 2 days concerning my senior brother, Honorable Kennedy Akumprekwe Japan, I take it as part of ongoing challenges that you may face as a political party. But Kennedy Japan, I know very well. He's my senior from Addis Ababa College. We relate way back before I came into politics, working in GRA. I happen to do a lot of consultancy support for him, and he's been a big brother coming into politics. I've engaged him. He gave me a lot of insight into how to proceed, and so I hold him in very high esteem. Even when we're going for our presidential elections, primaries, of course, I supported Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, but I had a lengthy conversation with him as to my position, and he respected it. He came to my constituency. I helped him, gave him a level playing field to campaign. At the end of the day, when we voted, he came second to Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia in my constituency. I think third. I think Brian Champon came second, but it was quite close between his vote and Brian Champon. And so, having ended our presidential primaries, one of the key steps His Excellency Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia undertook was to continue to engage aspirants. He paid courtesy calls to virtually all of them, trying to encourage them that this was an internal context. You know, the party is so big that no individual can claim ownership to it. And everybody who seeks to serve on the ticket of the MPP wishes to do something significant to transform this country. But democracy has been set out in such a way that it takes some people to make that determination at any point in time who should lead them. And so when you subject yourself to an internal context, and then majority of the people make a decision that they prefer this person at this particular point in time, we are all bound to respect the decision of the people and go accordingly. However, in between those contests, there are likely to be certain statements or utterances that may not augur well for the healing process. I have always advocated and encouraged. At least I served on the elections committee, the presidential elections committee that conducted this particular election. And I've been on record encouraging all sympathizers of the candidates, including the spokespersons, that we should be extremely circumspect in what we put out there. So if you check his conversation at some point in the tape, he made references to how would I share the same platform with, let's say, Atachia, sit on the same platform with Abronye and all of that, because he might have felt that these personalities had said certain or made certain statements that did not please or were not pleasing to him. But again, you look at it on the contrast. In as much as you may not be happy with what people are saying, are people also happy with what you are saying to the party? Because the party has leadership, and leadership includes those who have served in very high offices, including availing yourself to be a likely president for us.
Right.
And so when you have the opportunity to speak to issues and you have clear points to make, you have to assess whether it is good for the public or you have to address those things in-house. I believe that that kind of engagement is what is missing, because clearly we from the minority in parliament were trying to bring an issue up concerning the Agenda 111 and then the Afari Hospital project. This is a hospital that is not in use, though it is supposed to be about 98% completed from our time that we handed over in 2024. And then you have Konfanochi Teaching Hospital being next door, which is overburdened by a medical attendances amongst others. So from the minority and largely the Ghanaian populace, those in the Ashanti region, questions were brought to bear why the Afari Hospital is not being operationalized. And so we needed to bring the issues to the table and let Ghanaians understand that every legitimate payment that should go for the Afari Hospital to be operationalized has been done. And the question that had been coming up was, if it was left with only 500,000, why have it not been operationalized? And that is a question that the Minister for Health should be telling us as a people. And yet we were given indication that a contract is awarded and payments are made over a period of time. You cannot, by a change of government, hear certain figures being thrown out there when those figures makes no sense. So we were pushing the Minister for Health to come and explain where this figure of $85 million was coming from, when clearly the hospital is completed by and large at 98%, and it needed operationalization. This is not the only hospital that is almost completed and needs operationalization. Wager Hospital, Jerry made mention of it on the floor of the House. I have engaged a contractor who says that everything is set.
But I think with the wager, we saw the statement coming through which suggested that the contractor had inflated the contract up to 11 times the amount, and it was resulting in challenges from the World Bank. We saw the letters from the World Bank as well stating that it's the reason why they've not been able to proceed. But the health minister said they were working to have all of the challenges addressed with respect to wager.
Yeah. So you see, this is why I have a problem. When you have a hospital of that magnitude funded by World Bank, and we have a Ministry of Health which is supposed to engage and make sure that it becomes operationalized, we cannot be sitting for 1.5 years and say that we are still discussing the issues. What is it about these matters that we cannot sit at table within weeks and resolve? Because the information is there. From the World Bank, the data is there. From the Ministry of Health, the data is there. The contractor is available. But because we always want to play when the regime, which regime started, who completed it, the contractors are taking advantage of change of government, ministers are not committed because they did not initiate those projects. And so if you even get it completed, it will be as if some government will be taking credit and so on and so forth. But bringing it back to Afari and then my senior brother Kennedy Ohine Japon's bus, the conversation was taken to the point where they said there were some intention to visit the hospital, and they were denied.
That's what actually started everything.
And he's saying that this didn't start now. They also had intended, because he served on that committee, Defense and Interior as the chairman actually, and so there had been some request at his time to go and visit the facility, and then there were some challenges. And he's even raising the concern that why didn't we complete it in 8 years, and now we are asking NDC, who is in power, in 1.5 years to complete. These are all clearly legitimate questions that one can raise. But when you raise them, you should be open to also get responses. And those responses shouldn't be subjected to insults, shouldn't be subjected to someone taking it as if one is demanding too much. I am of the respected view that my senior brother, Kennedy, is a bona fide member of this party, the New Patriotic Party. He has served this party well. In fact, if you look at his contribution to the MPP since we started in 1992-93, you cannot discount his contribution in any shred or form. Even me, coming from Tesco in 1998 up till today, you cannot discount my contribution to the MPP. How much more figures like him who have sacrificed, pushed resources, supported the party in our bad times and our good times. So it shouldn't be discounted. But having that position also doesn't mean that we shouldn't confront issues that would derail our intention as a political party to win power. And when you get these statements coming, you know, if you put out the statements like contracts were awarded and people were taking 10%,
kickbacks and all that.
These are criminal matters involving individuals. I have been on record to say, don't take individuals and push them to political parties. If someone commits a crime, it is not a political party that has committed a crime. The contract is awarded to an individual or a company. And that company is a separate legal entity by law. So if that legal entity takes a position that is criminal, put the facts before us. Let us address the issues. Let the person be invited by the police. Let him go and answer his questions. And if he's found culpable, be prosecuted. So this boxing of currently NDC people are also selling contract for 10%, 11% will not stop until we name and shame.
Right.
Okay.
Let me come to Solomon Owusu as well on this subject matter.
You know, I can understand the difficulty this morning because you see, when you have one of your towering figures going after his own party, then it's more or less pissing in. This is what is called internal bleeding. The man is pissing in and they don't know how to handle it. And since he made that statement on Afari, I could understand the frustrations, especially of the loyalists of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. They approached it with insults, the very issue he was complaining about. Remember, immediately after their primaries, he gave the indication that he was not going to talk again. He was never going to be allowed, or he was not going to allow himself to be used, because he felt he has been used. And at the point, I realized that at his age, he would be very sad that all the things that he did, I remember a lot of the things that he did it for the party. You see, so for the party to have turned around and use the same issues that he fought for. You remember the was it Kantamantu issue? There was an issue at Kantamantu. That issue, I remember it like today. When Esla and the Greater Accra Ring had gone there to campaign and they were met by some thugs from the NDC. I mean, almost everyone in the party had become more or less a toothless bull. Nobody could confront that challenge. It took him. That was when he made that statement that Mushian California, you should kill them. Just in defense of Esla and the party. So if you have someone who has sacrificed like that and in an internal elections, you do not have any other policy against except what he did to save the party itself, then he will be worried. He will be worried. Let alone the various sins that he spoke of. You know, he made mention of the 10 sins. It affected him also.
He was worried about that.
Yes, because he felt that, by all these things, I did it to save this party. So, in effect, you used me to achieve your political ambition and only dumped me. So he is not going to go down alone. He wants to tell the party that, yes, you might have used that one to win the internal elections, but I'm also going to use the same thing to make sure that you are kept in opposition. The Afar issue. For the sense that I gathered from what he said was that, look, yes, it has to be completed. And we have said a time with that number as the United Party that under no circumstance must that project not be completed. It has to. Because it is you and I, our tax revenue. If we don't complete Afar, how would you go and start a new one? But what he was saying, and which I agree, is that it must not be the New Patriotic Party that has to go to that site and come and tell us that, why have you not finished? I mean, wouldn't it be a slap in your face that a party that just left office 15 or 16 months down the line, when, as a matter of fact, in 2016, 2017, we were told that it was left between 10 to 20% to completion. So you ask yourself, in the entire 8 years, what was the party doing? What prevented the party from completing the project, knowing the very importance of that project? And interestingly, the NPP gets its votes, majority of its votes, from the Ashanti region. So for you to come and create the impression, and if you watch the video when IU and Co went to the site, they were not interested in the project completion, but rather how to shift sentiments of the Ashanti people against this administration. And I found it very, very interesting. We have done this thing too long. Why you lump a whole tribe, a whole region, and pitch them against a political party. If you went to Ashanti region today, it's not every member of the person living there that supports the MPP, that supports the NDC. The United Party has a huge following in that region. So for you to have gone there and create the impression, go with support a party, support I saw my own younger sister, political mavis, shipping sentiments, then you are not representing the interests of the people of the region, and you are also not being sincere. So he said, look, Ghana first. Let's deal with the issues, but you must not be. And I thought that was a fair point to deal with. Now, yesterday, he grants an interview. And I couldn't believe it. Wouldn't it be nice for MPP to accept his position? Because I would be very surprised to see, for instance, Kennedy Japan on a stage, a platform, campaign platform, campaigning for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, having called him a liar. So then what becomes of him and what becomes of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? How would Kennedy Japan be on the same platform with Abronye, who has virtually taken him to the cleanest, impugning his integrity and everything? How is that possible? By the way, Eric, don't forget that as we speak, Kennedy Japan remains the co-chair of the employment committee of the MPP.
He hasn't rejected that.
He has not. And so yesterday, when he said all those things on the two, go and see the insults. The insult from the youth wing. And I said to myself, hey, but the person that is supposed to chart the path for you people to be getting employment, you are insulting him. Now, to further tell Kennedy Japan that we don't respect you, you know Amadeku and the things she said about Kennedy Japan. That very employment committee, Amadeku is on it. So how would Kennedy Japan sit in the same committee with a woman who did not respect that? At least men deserve some levels of respect. But for politics, the woman looked straight into the face of Kennedy Japan and insulted him. And you think he will go down free? What about Atacha? Unprovoked. I don't even want to repeat it here. But he's an elder of a church, CAC. He came to tell us what? Ghana for the head, you better the first way. Motherfucker, didn't you hear it? Atacha is the one saying it. Yes. But he's an elder of a church. By that, what Atacha was saying to the world or telling all of us was that Kennedy was not a stable man. He was just anybody that threw anything in the air. But like we have been told here, I mean, whether you like it or not, the last elections of the MPP, their presidential primaries, if they care to know, amongst their own delegates, about 200 and something thousand, Kennedy Japan had 46,988, representing 23%. Was he not the second person in the race? And people underestimate that effect, the effect of those numbers. Because you see, those 46,988 people that voted for him, they have family members. You understand?
Yeah.
So the rippling effect of that means that you need to deal with Kennedy tactfully. It brings to fore when Annan left the MPP. You remember? September that he left.
And the conversations which surrounded.
Exactly. Eric, the insult that we received, Alan, they took him to the cleaners. Everybody that was so much aligned to the Bawumia faction started insulting Alan. I said, but these people, do they understand the politics that they are even doing? Because if for nothing at all, to become the president of the land, you need what? 50 what? Plus one.
Yeah.
Granted, you had 50, and Allah was going to be the plus one. And with your levels of insult, how was that going to convince them to, as it were, vote for him to vote for your candidate to become the president? Now, some of us go on radio, you the United Party. I don't know which strategist is advising them. When we are making our point, making our arguments on various platforms, you know what some of them do? Oh, NDC Annex. They call us NDC Annex. So then I ask them, you granted you are making a salient point, so that in an election anything can happen. Granted there is a runoff between MPP and NDC in an election. UP did not win but pushed the election to a runoff. Now you that have all these years, days with your communicators referring to us on every platform as NDC Annex, how then would all of a sudden the NDC Annex will metamorphose into an MPP Annex? So strategically, it doesn't even sit well. What I'm saying is that the party at this juncture does not have leadership.
The NPP, you mean?
The NPP doesn't. It does not have. And it is because of years of trying to get weaker personalities in various positions, thinking that with those personalities you can manipulate. Because at the moment, their substantive national chairman, Sebra resigned. He left the job. I mean, before Chairman Bute took over, he himself had told the entire world that, look, he was no more interested in the position.
Right.
By virtue of the fact that when the substantive chairman left, if Bute had not coming, you know who was going to be the chairman? Buga. Ferrous metal and non-ferrous metal. That is why the NPP has been reduced to ferrous metal, whether it's metal or mental.
Right.
This is something that we should continue to see in our political discourse. Disagreements would definitely happen because we are all not the same people. But the way and manner we speak to the issues is what matters. So my final plea would be to my senior brother, Honorable Kennedy Ohine Japan, to remain calm in the face of whatever he believes is ongoing. I also urge the New Patriotic Party to remain very calm in the midst of what we are hearing.
Right.
And I will call on leadership to engage everybody. You know, when these things happen, leadership may be thinking around what becomes our next step or position. Where do we sit or side? I believe that they should call Honorable Kennedy Japan and engage him. And I'll plead with all the parties interested in this matter, particularly Parliament, where leadership sits, that we can also play a very important role in
I think Leader is good friends with him as well.
He's a very great friend and brother to Ken. So I'll make sure I also engage the leadership of Parliament to intervene in this matter. But we shouldn't be sidetracked that because these threats have come, it will pose anyway a threat to our quest to recapture power come 2028 to 2020. Now we should remain very focused and sell our message, and I'm sure Ghanaians will.
Right. 9:11 here on the 3FM Sunrise. I'll go for this break. When we return, we ask the whereabouts of Sedina and the conversations which have come forth and the questions being asked. Stay with us.
It's a goal! The World Cup football.
the whereabouts of Sedina, some ailments and all of that. I'm sure it's something that interests the NPP as well, Honorable. And you're asking the questions in relation to her whereabouts, even as the NC continues to pester you with helping Ken return to the jurisdiction. For you in the NPP, do you have an idea as to whether or not she's serving time, even after the assurances by the Minister for Government Communications?
In fact, for me, this country have to rise above pettiness, okay? And I believe there are more serious, important matters for us to engage in than issues concerning someone who is supposed to have been brought down on an extradition papers.
Yeah.
And the rules governing extradition is very clear. If the person is brought into the jurisdiction, he's received, or he or she is supposed to be received by the state authorities, given to the police and the prisons. The person is processed, and once the conviction is still pending, she's sent to the necessary prisons, and then the processes continue from there. Why should we be here asking that question, where is she, if we have good governance in place? By the time she is received in this country, there should have been a formal communication from the state telling us that on this day, the state received this person from the United States on board flight so and so. The person was received at 10:20 p.m. She was sent to this particular office for briefing and debriefing. Post 8, the person has been sent to this particular cells to service them. And that ends the conversation. If there is any medical reason why the person cannot be in cells or jail, the state tells us that also when the person was received, there were some medical information suggesting that the person was sick. So we've taken the person to Kolebu Teaching Hospital for further medical examination. Post the medical examination, the medical people are saying that she should be at the hospital under police security and so on and so forth. Isn't this basic enough for us to do for ourselves? Why should we be shredding it in secrecy? Why should we, journalists and myself as a member of parliament, be here asking where is Sedinam? What is Sedinam saying? Was she not received by human beings? Is she not on an official government receipt for government? So if the minister tells us that she's at where?
Says she's with the prison service.
She's with the prison service, in jail or under the protection of prison service in a house, or in the hospital, or at where. So we are not being factual to the people of Ghana. We are being insincere with the truth that we need to say to ourselves. And so, for me, the issues are that she fled from this jurisdiction. Of course, she left the country on notice that she was going on medical. She never returned. She didn't give any records to the court to justify why she was out of the jurisdiction. The court proceeded in a trial in absentia, convicted her of the offense, jailed her, awaiting for her to come and serve the sentence anytime she comes to this jurisdiction. Now, we forwarded our papers of extradition with the United States authorities. Finally, it has been granted and then she's been brought to this jurisdiction. The barest minimum you expect from the Attorney General, and this should have been an AG's briefing. And if AG is not briefing us and he gives it to the Minister for Government Communication, the Minister should give us details of whatever is going on, so that Ghanaians will be settled in our minds that this is not a political issue. And the moment we veer into the arena of politics, then it becomes so it's kind of also out of the jurisdiction, waiting for MPP to come to power. Then he will find a way of coming into it, and then people will be asking, where is Kenufriata? Is that how we want to do to ourselves? So my brother, let me end here by saying that the government is not being frontal with us. And yourself as media personnel, myself as member of parliament, can't push that call to government, and this shouldn't have been our request. It should be part and parcel of information provision on sensitive matters of this nature, so that we will all come to a conclusion that yes, she is in the jurisdiction, she is currently at Ridge Hospital, or she is at Insawam prison serving her term, and that should be it.
Right. What I know is that yesterday, I think we placed a call to the prison service in trying to get a bit more in terms of details on the back of this. That wasn't fruitful.
Yes.
In fact, the person we got into contact with did not speak to the issue.
Yes.
And that was done by my producer, and I was there when that call was placed. And so, even for us, there's a bit of haziness as to really what's playing out.
Exactly.
But Solo, let me come to
before Solo comes. You see, when you have a TS statement from the Minister of Government Communication, that is what brings about this apprehension and call and request. It tells you that we are not being truthful to ourselves as a people, and this is a call I expect my colleagues to let us put together, because government is supposed to be accountable to the people. They are not there on their whims and caprice. They are there holding the constitutional mandate to serve the people of Ghana, and that includes provision of information, timely information, and candor to us. And I think the government have not done that in this case of Sedina.
Solo.
Yes, so one thing is not in doubt. I'm here to hear anyone say that Sedina Tamaklo is not in the jurisdiction, or is not in Ghana. At least we have heard from the U.S. Embassy through a statement on their website that they facilitated the extradition of Sedina Tamaklo to Ghana. In fact, they went ahead to even provide the very airline and the flight number that she was on. So to that extent, we can easily cross-check with Delta Airlines the flight that she brought to find out whether she's in the jurisdiction. What seems to be in contention is where exactly. Now, we were told by the communications, is it the Minister
for Government Communications?
Government Communications, that yes, she was in this jurisdiction. When she got to Ghana, she was handed over to the prison service. Is that not the case? So our fixation must be on the prison service to find out whether or not indeed she is with them. So I've been taking a critical look at the Right to Information Act 989, 2019 to 987, yes, to see whether or not the present information related to the whereabouts of a convicted personality falls under those information that cannot be released. And there seems to be there seems not to be clarity on that the prison service can deny you from knowing where exactly a person is, when they strongly believe that you are looking for that information, maybe to go and attack that prison. I don't know whether it is because of that you are withholding that information.
I think naturally the prison service do not speak much.
Exactly.
In fact, I recall when there were conversations around Agrada and persons were asking questions if she was really serving her term. Not once
did they respond
to any of those comments.
Yes, and it has its foundation with the Act 987. That, I mean, so those that are saying that she's not in custody, before you say someone is not in custody, it means you know where the person is. Why would those people also not do as that honest by beginning to pinpoint where exactly Sedina Tamaklo is? You understand? I would rather test. In fact, in spite of what I've seen in the Act, I will still petition or write to the prison service for information. Sometimes this hulabaloo could be curtailed by a simple testing of the law. You understand? So that we are all saved the trouble of noise, especially when we are told that she is with the prison service. That one, nobody has denied it. But people want to see, is it the case that they want to see the pictures of the where she's actually sleeping so that they could be satisfied? No, I don't think that should be the way. But we will test it for the prison service to tell us. If it is something that they cannot provide information, then they tell us. If it is something that they can, then they make the whole world understand where exactly she is. But by the way, I'm not one of those that believe that she shouldn't be in jail. She has to be, because she has been convicted for 10 years. And you understand? Our monies per the trial is with her. And it must not just end at just incarceration. Her properties must be confiscated, because we are talking about money. You see, this business, this country, one time elapsed, we easily forget. If you were one of those that was affected by the Kantamanto fire outbreak and needed that support, and you were denied then, because time has elapsed, people are not feeling what really happened there. You can easily share tears or emotions. I mean, if you have been following what has been happening in our court in recent times, even our own brother Wuntumi, when he goes to court, he plays the emotional card as though he's crying at a point, he's doing, I'm not going to talk here and there. No, it is not what is the issue. The issue is whether or not you have committed a crime against the state, for which reason the state wants to correct its correctional measure. You understand? So, Sedina coming to Ghana, it is for one thing that the country called Ghana acknowledges that she has committed a crime for which reason she was sentenced for 10 years. She has been brought, she must go and serve that. Is it not very easy? So I will wait, I will tell the law, I will petition for the right to information. If it is something that they can provide to me, I will get it. Other than that, nobody is providing any contrary information. My brother Franklin Codjoe said she wasn't in the prison. But when he was pushed to the wall, it came to fore that he had no knowledge. He had not interviewed anybody. He didn't have any clue to that. I would plead that under such circumstances, we must not move into realms
speculations and all of that.
And just like you said, when we push the prisons, I got the very particular prison a convict is.
Well, can we say
yes
as well that, look, a part of this also stems from the fact that there's a general belief among the populace that politicians do not hang their own, right? I'm not venturing into the realms of speculation. That politicians do not hang their own.
Yes.
And so, yes, she's returned, but certain commentaries, even when the AG held a news conference and said there could be, when he spoke to extradition of both Kennedy, Kenoforiata and Sedina Tamako, he added extra comments on Sedina on a possible appeal and whatnot, feeding into perception from different quarters that, politicians, they don't really hang their own. And so, yes, she will be in the country, but she could be somewhere manifesting itself and now wanting to be part and parcel of everyday conversations which we're having today.
No, but that is pure propaganda. First of all, does she have the right to appeal? The answer is yes. The mere fact that she has been convicted does also not mean that she cannot explore the avenue of appealing to a ruling, which is done in most cases. Sometimes the judges, and it is the reason why I don't believe in this abstention. What are we talking about? What are we saying about Kenoforiata? Why do you think some of us want him back to this country? We are not urging him to come back to this country because we think that all the charges that have been leveled against him indeed are crimes that he has committed. But it would be better for him to come and explain himself. Maybe, even if he comes to Ghana and goes to court, by the time he's done with his explanation, all of us will say, but these are not issues that he must be tried. But if you decide to run away from trial, that the impression you are creating in our minds is that you have committed a crime. Does also not mean that she does not have the right to appeal.
Right.
Fortunately, we have a lawyer here. She has that right. If it goes before the judges and indeed her rights were curtailed during the court proceedings, what stops the court from doing what is right? The mere fact that we are shouting, like Wuntumi's case, if he is not wrong, I don't expect the judge to say he's wrong. You understand? But if he's wrong, he has to be wrong. We must punish wrongdoing and not punish righteousness. You get my point? So it is on that basis that we believe that it is much ado about nothing.
Right.
It is much ado. It's politics. People just want to go beyond that. If you let this government say that, He said nice in some. The next thing they will say is that produce the picture. If you produce the picture, then they will subject it to scrutiny. Oh, this one is AI generated. That one will take about 5 months. So they want us to go on that roller coaster. Nobody's going to do that.
Right, Honorable. He says it's propaganda, but I'm asking the question as to a lack of trust from ordinary persons in the justice delivery system, and the fact that politicians don't hang their own to dry, also fueling these conversations and these questions as to the whereabouts of Sedina. Otherwise, when she returned to the jurisdiction and you are told she's in prison custody, that should suffice, that should end it. But because there's a general belief that you are not truthful to us always, is a reason why even you are also asking the question as to whether or not there is truth in the fact that she's in prison custody.
We can't discount that view of the ordinary Ghanaian, that perception that politicians can't hang their own. And this is a narrative we need to change as politicians and as government, that wrong is wrong and we need to punish wrongdoing irrespective of who committed that wrong. And so normally when I make these statements, someone would always bounce back to me and say, because you are in opposition, you are making these statements. If we come to power, the narrative will change. I don't believe I've changed from my principles and positions whilst we were in government. Right. Only that people didn't hear me speak much because I was in public service. But my principle is my principle. If Ghanaians, and until, as I say, isolate individual offenders from political parties and punish them. Of course, there's always a link for political expediency, but we should allow those individuals to be treated as separate persons from a political class. In that context, I believe the Ghanaians asking those questions are legitimate. We as political or as a government, or the government should provide that information in totality. And as I initially stated, you don't just say she's in prison custody. If they had given, and there's coming communication, if the communication had given us some level of details, including the fact that she's in to serve her full term unless otherwise overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, then that ends the matter. But it is the way and manner the communication has gone. Of course, as he said, the prisons authorities are not obliged to always be giving information as to where someone who has been handed over to them is being kept. If it is a jail term, the thing is that when prisons take custody of you, they determine where to send you. Right. Whether they take you to Takoradi or Sunyani or what have you, that is based on availability of space and in terms of the security of the prisoner, amongst others. So we should respect that perspective. But it is the government communication, because the social contract is between us and government. Right. And it is the government that we can always go to and ask for those further and better particulars. And if they are minded, they were convicted. Yes. Daniel Axim and then yes. Daniel Axim served 2 years and is now on bail pending appeal. And that is it, because he has the right. It is law. You understand? The same law that sent him to Inserum also allows him to apply for a bail. When he did, the case, they never sat on it in 2025. So it was only in 2026 that they granted the bail pending appeal. It doesn't mean that he's off the hook. If the appeal fails, he goes back. You understand? So it is a legal, we are practicing rule of law. And that must be allowed. And every government appointee must bear this in mind, that when you go and serve, accountability is part of it. You understand? Right. It must be. Me, I have said that this administration, they are wasting too much time. That banking sector cleanup, that they have not gone there. They have to. Because I have information to suggest that even the number of people that they claim they paid who are having their investment, people took advantage of it, created pseudo-names, and took money in the name of banking sector cleanup. And that is how come the 9 billion ballooned to 30 billion. Why wouldn't you go in there?
where are you getting this information from?
Wild
that is why it has to be. You see, people have come with certain documents.
Exactly. There's a question I'm asking too, because if persons were in certain names,
that is why.
You go to
Ora, me I've never gone there, but if Ora is not a constitutional created.
No, but at least those who had, who thought they had info, and beyond Ora, we have the police.
Yeah, the special prosecutor.
Have you shared this information?
So I have shared this information to people that I believe, but it's not moving. What I'm saying is that there has to be an inquiry, forensic audit. You see, we started making noise about
the government. The government, I know, when they came in 2025, instituted investigations and also audits.
No, the banking sector, they have not done.
Oh, they have. You have not received a report yet.
That's it.
No, but I'm saying that they have done and they continue to do
a forensic audit.
So then I'm giving them further information. If they had,
but where you are sitting,
no,
because the way you said it,
no, I'm telling you that. These were issues that people, including people that were working at the Bank of Ghana, some of them have left Bank of Ghana, have been telling us. I am a social commentator. When you hear an issue, if you give to people and they are not forthcoming with it, you blow it out. And it's the reason I believe that forensic audit, because it's my money, it's your money. If indeed people were not having investment at various places, and some people, somewhat, because it was free for all, were able to create this, then it's a dangerous thing. Yeah, so you can only draw that conclusion when there is a forensic audit.
Yeah, but we understand the forensic audit is ongoing.
It's ongoing. That I've told you.
Yes.
But the issue as to the empirical statement you made,
yes,
which you don't have evidence.
No, what I'm saying is
to support it. People, we've sat in this country where people give a lot of information that turns out to be false.
Fantastic.
And we've had this even in the oral reports that came.
And not all of it was investigated.
But some of them were so wild that even the committee decided not to even probe further because they saw that they were more of emotional and hearsays, that there were no evidence to support. So on this platform, I will plead with you, if you make a statement that 9 billion cleanup balloon to 30 billion.
But that is what happened.
For it going above the initially budgeted for.
That must even tell you that. That must even tell you that there is an iota, there may be iota of truth in it. We were told that we needed 9 billion to do the banking sector cleanup. No, how did he jump to 30 billion?
You've had contracts signed for a particular amount. Later, when the construction started, they realized there were these challenges, that challenge. People go for reviews of their cost, and it is changed or varied.
This is the banking sector.
No, I'm coming.
Yes.
So it is for us to interrogate the basis for it, because before you started, you might have projected that those involved amount to ABC, and even in terms of the banks, initially it was not very certain the number of banks that they were going to close. So
how did they come to that determination that we would need 9 billion?
Of course, but that can be an initial assessment.
Yes.
And there will be subsequent detailed assessment.
So that it will balloon from 9 billion to 30 billion. I'm saying that what people have told, what I'm giving out is for those that are doing the investigation. I do not know that.
So there's an audit ongoing.
Yes.
Like we understand.
So I am giving further that if you are part of the audit, you must widen the scope. Because this is what people are saying. And the people that are giving the information are people that some of them have worked within the Bank of Ghana sector.
Right.
So I'm saying that in doing your audit, do not narrow yourself. This may be something that will not even come to the attention.
It's more of you drawing the attention to look in the direction.
Is it out of place? You were in this country, national service. People who are from Kenya, Kenyan pictures were in the list. So if I had come here and told you that, look, check the backgrounds of those that are in the list. You may have disagreed, but at the end of the day, we had 92-year-old people and their names on the list who were drawing salary. We have images from Kenya, so it is not out of place.
Yes, right. But at least that one, there is some information that is subject to further interrogation. Because this allegation of people coming from Kenya, 92 years, there were other validations that were made that they said they were in error. Okay, but you cannot discount the fact that when the names and ages.
They have been drawing salaries.
Is it the NSS ghost names? It was the investigations which revealed that the names were in it.
So this must even support the argument that I'm making. That if people can create pseudonyms with the NSS, what makes anybody to think that
people cannot
banking sector, the bloat from 9 billion to 30 billion, could not include pseudonyms that were used to create? So they must even.
I think that can pass as a fair comment. Right? It can pass as a fair comment, and perhaps you will draw the attention of persons.
That is what I'm doing. I am drawing the attention. I'm saying that I've got you the information. I am drawing your attention, widen the scope,
right,
and look at that direction. We may see something and say something.
The Controller and Accountant General says that 4,000 employees owe student loans, and deductions may start on the account soon enough because they've refused to pay. I know a few people who took student loan. As to whether or not they began to honor it, I'm not sure. We've created a system where persons receive funds from the state which they are supposed to pay back, and for some very strange reason they never pay back. Nobody goes for the money, and they live on, and life goes on. I know persons during the peak of COVID, when government was giving emergency support, who were supposed to receive loans and pay back, up until today have not paid back, and nobody has asked them about the whereabouts of the loans disbursed to them for them to begin to pay back. It appears there is a problem in being able to police loans and receiving them. Outside of this, I'm citing the COVID-19 package under the previous administration as another example, because I know somebody personally who received in excess of 5,000 cedis, and up to today,
he won't pay.
It's not that he won't pay. Nobody has even asked him when he is beginning repayment. And that money is gone, and it will continue to be gone in a similar situation with persons who are receiving loans as we speak.
Eric, that's why we are where we are. I remember when I was done with university, I took Senate. Those days it was Senate loan. And in our time, you needed 2 guarantors or so. People who were already on Senate. So it denied a lot of people the opportunity of even having Senate loan, because a lot of those workers or employees who were on Senate were not willing. They thought it was a risky venture. Why must I go and guarantee? So that when you are giving the loan and you are unable to pay, they will deduct it from my end of service severance. I got it. When I was done with university, 3 years down the line, my old man died. And so the man that had guaranteed for me thought, once my father was dead, I may run
and you have to face the...
so he started piling pressure. I said, but I finished school 3 years ago. 1 year, I'm done with national service. I'm not running to anywhere. So the way the man was behaving, quickly,
you had to find
I organized the money. But guess what? It was more difficult paying back the loan than receiving the loan. State headquarters, it became my house. Every morning. This one does not know who must collect back the money. This one does not know. I had to push them out till finally they created a temporary file. Then they took my money. I followed up. I got the clearance, and then the man was able to take himself off the system. What I'm saying is that, we bring some of these policies with political agenda. The government already thinks that by giving it to the people, they will know that we are doing something well. So when they take it, that we are not going for the money, they will vote for it. That is the presumption behind it. And that is why we of the United Party has been preaching this business of private enterprise. Government can do something, but you have to route it through the private sector. So that those that are not paying the loans, they are denying future students the opportunity. And what is so difficult? Now we have the benefit of Ghana card. Is that not the case? So it means we can trace all the persons that have taken the loan. Those that leave this country, It must be one of the criteria for leaving the country. Before you leave, your Ghana can. If you are not paid, you can't. I mean, Ghana as a country can even have a working relationship with various embassies. You go to the embassy, you are asked, are you done paying your student loan? Don't you think all of them will go and pay? So it is deliberate. People are not working. They go and take positions. They are not working. Now you are coming to tell us that you will start deductions from their monthly salary. What are you sitting down doing? You must be deducting. This is not negotiable. Because by not taking means, those that are coming will be denied.
Right.
You understand? But they are not working. That is why this is a problem. Other than that, it is not a problem, and I believe that they have to do that.
Right, Honorable.
So similarly, at the university, so we all took students' loan. Some people even took it for the fun of it. They really didn't need it. Yeah. But once they said student loan forms have come,
everybody goes
everybody will go and fail. And then we took it. Guarantors were there. Those days, you need to release. They say release the guarantor before he or she goes to retirement. Because when they go on retirement and there's an owing, it will be used against them. And so when I finished my national service and started work at VAT, I went straight to the SNET office similarly to check the payment. But at that time, they said they have already started deductions at source. So SNET had transitioned, I believe, from the point where you need to personally go and pay to when they align your SNET card to your date of birth and everything, they could see some income coming. They were doing the deduction. But you have an option to decide whether you want to pay all to release someone or you want to drag it, because I had my mom and some other 2 persons guaranteeing. And finally, I told them to get me the balance paid off so that people can have their peace and we move on. Now, transitioning to the student loan trust and not using guarantors. The arrangement I remember was that we will give students the loan, and when they start working, it will be deducted. So it's all about information and centralizing it in a database, making sure that when someone commences work, there's a sync between the controller and accountant general and then the SNET or the student's loan trust. So there's an update anytime someone is put on the payroll, whether there's a deficit from your student's loan trust account. Officially, the person is communicated to from the controller or the student loan that we have information that you've started work. Controller is going to start deduction. This is the amount that we are receiving on your behalf, and so on and so forth. Why should that be a difficulty for controller to say that I'm now going to deduct? It should be a matter of course.
Of course, that's the point.
It should be a matter of course. So long as the person has started earning, he has no choice than to pay. And that computation is supposed to be done by the student loan trust based on the amount and the number of years available to the person.
Right.
So if the person has 20 years of work, it is different from someone who has 30 years of work. And so by the number of years, you would have put in a model that tells you that, okay, this will be the minimum that can be deducted. And that reference goes, anytime you receive your pay slip, there's another line that indicates that you have been deducted this amount and this is your balance. So I believe we need to strengthen. If it's a software that is not speaking to each other, then we need to find a software that provides clarity as to those who come onto government payroll. I think the challenge will be those who are in the private sector. But even in the private sector, they pay SNET. And SNET data should speak to students' loan data. That tells us the people who are, and that's why this Ghana card is of essence.
Right.
And it has a whole interaction across all databases for effective view of this matter.
A few messages that have come through. This one says, good morning, and good morning to your panelists, especially Mr. Solomon Owusu, for the good work you're doing. Codjoe says, as far as a monument to a dangerous national habitat, celebrating concrete while postponing accountability. The walls stand, the roads exist, the wards are visible, yet the question remains, who owes whom? What was completed? what was handed over, what is operational, and what has the taxpayer achieved. Brad Daniel Tete says lawyer Isaac Yao Boamanyako is a faculty that needs to be studied. Man is too knowledgeable. Another one says, good morning. I want Solo to understand that Ken has not run away. We all know he's a resident of the United States. So if the country feels he has done something wrong, then they should use the right procedure to bring him to face the law.
He has run away. He has run away.
Bright the General says, good morning. I like the way Honorable Boama MP Fuifia gave his view on the matter of lawyers, giving us a fair view of the matter. He's too nationalistic, which is a sign of a good leader. He comes back to ask about the Ifia Medical Center and the current situation. Honorable Bright is asking about the medical center and says they want an upgrade. There's a concern of an upgrade of the hospital to compete with others within the neighboring communities. If you can just speak to that briefly for him. And then Father's Day is this Sunday, so I'll pick quick thoughts from us.
I think the Ifia, we have a Ifia Health Center. It was commenced by my predecessor, Honorable Joseph Codjoe, but he couldn't complete because of funds. And so I took it upon myself as part of my project to complete the structure.
Right.
It has accommodation for medical staff that would allow it to operate 24 hours. So some couple of weeks ago, I've brought in a contractor to start the completion work. I visited the project site last week with the leaders of the Ifia community. I'm sure in the next 4 to 5 months, we should be able to complete the top floor to allow nurses to go into occupation. The next phase is to ensure that we get some modern equipment to support the health professionals. If you come to Ifia, we don't have any medical facility of that nature, so the people have to rely on either is Kwesimintim Hospital or Ifia Nkwanta Teaching Hospital.
Ifia Nkwanta, so I was confused.
Yeah, so Ifia Nkwanta borders Ifia, is part of Ifia, sort of. So what I'm trying to do is to make the Ifia Health Center a one-stop shop for all kinds of medical attention, unless it is beyond the capability of the health professionals, and then they can be referred to either Ifia or Kwesimintim Hospital. So a lot of work has gone on. I'm still engaging the Ministry of Health. I spoke to the Honorable Minister. I'm sending him a tall list of medical equipment requests. But on my own, I've also been looking at how best I can buy the ones that are within reach. And so the people of Ifia can look forward to a more modernized medical infrastructure by the end of the year.
Great. Father's Day is this Sunday. More often than not, we don't tend to celebrate fathers a lot. Questions about mental health and all of that. I'll just pick quick thoughts from the both of you as to Father's Day, and perhaps words from the both of you to fathers on a special day like this. Let's celebrate ourselves, because more often than not, they don't celebrate us.
But nobody is going to celebrate us, so I don't even celebrate myself. Because no matter what you do, fathers are not rewarded enough. But you see, I keep saying that women and men, it's as though subtly we are in some war. But one day, like they say with the teachers, our reward is in heaven. Fathers suffer a lot. They go through a lot. And it's the reason why I like the topic that mental health here and there. Every problem in the home or house is left with the father. So on this Sunday, fathers who are not being celebrated enough, I want to urge you, or I want to admonish you not to worry and take refuge in the fact that your reward is in heaven, not on earth. But this goes only to responsible fathers. You must also be clear.
There's a caveat to it.
Yes. There are obvious irresponsible fathers on earth. Obvious. And it's deliberate. You can't give birth and then be allowing the child to suffer when you are in a position. I keep saying that fathers that allow their kids to go hungry is deliberate. Because you would eat. It's not like you, the father, will not eat the day. So if you are eating, why is the child not eating?
Right.
So irresponsible fathers uplift the game so that the responsible ones will begin to have some levels of respect. Happy Father's Day to all of you.
Honorable. You as well.
Happy Father's Day to everybody, yourself, my brother Solomon, and all men who are fathers. I'm a proud father of 4 girls.
You're a girl dad?
Yes, I'm a girl dad. My first daughter is in town. She's at the university, but doing attachments now with Pricewaterhouse, PwC. And it takes a lot to father. Give leadership, protection, support your wife in all of these moments. And it comes by a lot of hard work, combining your political life with fatherhood, amongst others. I'll be in the constituency, God willing, today, this evening, and I should be celebrating Father's Day on Sunday. I've planned a lot of activities across the churches to speak to them on some of these topics with some medical personnel, and then also to congratulate them for what they do. So on this note, to all the fathers in this country, particularly my good people of Ifia who have stood well behind me, I say Happy Father's Day. May God empower us and strengthen us to do more for our country and for our children.
Honorable, thank you very much. Solo as well, thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning. You heard the voice of the Honorable Isaac Yao Boamanyak, who is a member of Parliament for Ifia and also a private legal practitioner, joining us in studio this morning. And the Director of Communications for the United Party, Solomon Owusu, also joining us. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And a happy Father's Day to all of us. Solo puts it in a Kebia. The responsible father. Happy Father's Day to
Happy Father's Day to you.